Hey guys, Todd here. We're going to call this week 1. Last week, week 0, the starting point. So, not a huge amount of progress yet, obviously, but I will post some numbers here. One thing you'll probably notice, things have gone up and down over the weekend. That is something you will probably see in the long run. I've been weighing myself actually for quite a while, and I know with my job I tend to lose a pound or 3 each weekend just in water weight and then gain it back. In my job I work 3 12-hour days in a row, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so just tend to get dehydrated apparently. I'm on my feet a lot at my job. Probably not drinking as much water as I should, though I try. Carry water with me every day at work. So that's one thing you'll notice as far as looking at the weight graph. Other than that, not a huge change. It's only been 1 week. Another thing, as far as what activity I've been doing, last week, week 0, I guess, Thursday I did a half hour on an elliptical machine. Wednesday, I did a half hour on an elliptical machine. Thursday, I did about 2 hours, about 20-mile bike ride outside on a rails to trail type crushed limestone bike trail. And then Friday, I did a half hour on an arc trainer. If you have not tried an arc trainer, or maybe you haven't tried an elliptical trainer, they're somewhat similar devices, but different. The arc trainer, they say, gives you, at least the people who support, the people who make arc trainers, say they give you a more natural movement for your feet. One thing I found, I like the arc trainer better in that, though these numbers are subjective, it seems, the severity scale or whatever you want to call it, when you set your resistance levels, it seemed I could get a better workout on the arc trainer at a similar resistance level. So I set it to 3, or I set the elliptical to 3. It seemed that I was working harder, built up more of a sweat, had a higher heart rate on the arc trainer. So I think I like the arc trainer better. Though I'm someone who for years has loved elliptical machines, I know that makes me sort of strange, but they've worked for me. In fact, my previous time, when I said how I lost, quite a bit of weight, 65 pounds or so over the course of, I think, a little under 2 years, that was when I was around 20 or so. My primary thing I did was use an elliptical for an hour a day on most days of the week. Later, I sort of started mixing in some weights too, so I did maybe just a half hour of elliptical and then did my weightlifting. But started out just doing an hour on the elliptical as many days of the week as I could muster. Sometimes it was 7 days a week. More often it was 5 or 6 days a week. Another thing that's important is obviously diet. Nobody asked me so far about diet, but I don't really have a particular diet, I guess. I'm sort of resistant to fad diets. I think fad diets are usually not a good idea. They ask you to do something sort of unusual with your eating that maybe you're not going to be able to continue. Though, look at me, I've just done general calorie restriction. That's what I've done before, and it worked for me. Though, like I said, I ended up gaining the weight back. But no special diet other than I might be trying to avoid simple sugars. Still eating carbs, just trying to avoid basically candy, simple sugar, sugary drinks, that sort of thing. More for health reasons even than weight reasons, though it helps with losing weight. Other than that, I just really try not to overeat. Basically just, try to have what seems to be a normal amount of food for a meal, and don't go back and get extra. I feel like that's where I often tack on extra calories. I have what seems like a normal meal, and then I go get seconds. I just try to avoid that, and that's worked out for me well in the past. Then again, I am getting older. Maybe at this point in the game, it's going to be harder to lose weight, and maybe I do need to do something more structured with my diet. But so far, so good. We will see. It's worked out for me well in the past. If you have any suggestions on diet or exercise, let me know. I know that high-intensity interval training is really popular right now. They say it's better than doing just steady-state cardio. Most of what I'm doing is steady-state cardio, though I do intervals on the elliptical. But I did try doing, last year I lost a decent amount of weight, about 30 pounds or so over the course of about 6 months last year. I lost, and my main workout was sort of an easy version of the Fat Loss 4 workout. I can put a link in the description of the video for the Fat Loss 4. It's a type of interval training where you do an upper body push or pull exercise, a lower body push or pull exercise, a core exercise, and then some high intensity cardio intervals. And you also try to keep your rest between each activity to a minimum. And it worked out pretty well for me. So, I don't know. I might try to add that in again. Right now, I just like sort of the mindlessness of steady-state cardio. Just hop on the machine, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So that's what I'm going to do for the next few weeks at least. Try to just sort of build up my cardio base, I guess, and then I might try to get into something more intense. Still no swimming, even though swimming has been a big part of my exercise in the past. It's just hard to get into the pool like at the right time. Like finding the time when they have lap swim time and when I'm available to go do lap swimming. So I've got many places I can go hop on an elliptical machine or an arc trainer or go lift weights or what have you. This week, I've worked out twice. I'm about to get in my third workout for the week before I head back to work tomorrow. Let's see, what have I done? I did Wednesday, a half hour on an arc trainer, and then a pretty intense 1 hour bike ride. About the fastest I've gone this year, which is not extremely fast, but I did about 12 miles in an hour and 2 minutes on like a crushed limestone rails to trail type trail. That's my favorite place to bike because there's lots of shade and whatnot. So did that. I was pretty happy. Didn't quite get a personal record on Strava, but I got a third place compared to my own previous efforts on Strava. So, because there was in 2014, I was biking a few times a week over the summer, and was able to get my times down a little bit. Then yesterday, Thursday, just did a half hour on an elliptical machine, a matrix elliptical machine at the Y. Right now I'm about to do another just probably a half hour on the elliptical machine. So that pretty much sums it up for this week. I think I'm also going to show you a before picture. I thought about getting it on video, decided, I don't know, it'll just be easier for me since I don't really have a good tripod or anything to just take a couple still pictures of myself in the mirror or whatever. So because basically one of my friends coerced me. He said people watching these videos want to see before and after pictures, so even though I'm a little embarrassed, I'm going to take some before pictures. I had a couple comments on the last video. One guy said that he's pretty similar in height and weight to me and he's trying to lose weight, so do it. Basically, if I can be of support in any way, let me know. You said that you were trying to get down below 200. I think that's a great goal. I don't know if I will ever try to get below 200. I would like to get down close. I've thought about trying to get down ultimately, maybe over the next couple of years, it might take me however long, down to around 220. The sort of lowest I've been in my adult life is 235. That time I lost a bunch, my most drastic weight loss, I went from about 300 to 235. I thought I looked pretty good. I had a lot of people telling me, yeah, you look fine here, you should stop. I don't know if there was something going on, because I had people at my work at the time who thought that I was losing weight too fast. I had people telling me to stop losing weight. They were concerned about me. So I stopped at 235 and hung out around 240 for a while, and then slowly tacked the weight back on. So, I don't know, if I could get down to 235 again, that would be great. If I could eventually get down to 220, even better. I don't know. I've looked at sort of my body fat composition numbers and stuff before, and I think 220 would be a pretty good weight for me. Though if I could get lower than that, it could be great. Another friend of mine posted, just, with some encouragement. I'll thank you for that. On Facebook, someone asked me if I would get back into jiu-jitsu. I did jiu-jitsu for a little bit in grad school, and basically, I got sort of afraid of getting hurt. I had a guy slam me sort of on my shoulder and the side of my head here, and ended up separating my shoulder and having to go see the docs about that and stuff. Luckily, it was just a separated shoulder, nothing was broken. But that was a nagging injury that took a while to heal from, and now I'm afraid of getting spiked on my head or something. But, I guess as long as you're rolling with someone you can trust, you should be fine. So, I might try to get back into jiu-jitsu. It was fun. It is great exercise, and also just great for you sort of overall, I think. So, that's all I can think of for this week. Right now, it's about 10 p.m. on July 8th. So, end of week 1, we'll call it. Thanks, you guys, for watching. Subscribe, comment. I'm going to try to reply to comments when people leave comments. Both, I might reply as a comment myself, and I might try to just reply at the end of each vlog. I think that would be pretty fun. So if you have any comments, questions, anything, let me know. Thanks. Bye.